The 5-second rule is a popular concept that many people have heard about and even believed in at one point. It suggests that if food is dropped on the floor, it's still safe to eat as long as you pick it up within 5 seconds. The idea seems simple and perhaps even appealing. After all, who wants to waste food? Yet, when we dig deeper, we find that this belief has been challenged by scientific studies and research on food safety. Let's start by understanding where this rule originated. It might stem from a mix of common sense and cultural folklore. The underlying thought is that if food hits the floor quickly, it will not have had enough time to pick up harmful bacteria. However, this notion has put to the test against the backdrop of scientific observation. Research conducted by food scientists has shown that the transfer of bacteria to food can occur almost instantaneously. For instance, a study by the University of Illinois revealed that bacteria can be transferred to food in less than a second. When different types of surfaces were tested, like carpet, tile, and stainless steel, it was found that no surface is entirely safe. Foods that are moist and sticky are more likely to pick up bacteria than those with a dry surface. So, if you drop a piece of pizza or a slice of cake, you might be inviting unwanted guests in the form of bacteria to share your meal. To give you an example, let's consider the off-dropped slice of bread. If it lands on a kitchen floor with unseen germs lurking there, it is not just the idea of 5 seconds that matters. The outcome can depend on a variety of factors, such as the cleanliness of the floor, the nature of the food, and even the environmental condition. Bathrooms, for example, are known germ hotspots, and dropping food in such areas can be particularly hazardous. Even though humans have adapted to many germs and bacteria in our environments, some pathogens can lead to foodborne illnesses. Common culprits include Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria, which can cause discomfort, illness, or worse, especially in vulnerable populations like young children, the elderly, and those with weakened immune systems. Let's consider another fascinating aspect of the 5-second rule: our psychology around food. We often have an emotional attachment to food, viewing it as nourishment, but also enjoyment. When we drop a beloved piece of cake, it can feel painful to toss it away. The 5-second rule allows us to rationalize and salvage what seems like a loss. In social settings, it often becomes a humorous topic among friends, each sharing their own experiences with dropped food. It's also interesting to note how much the context matters. If you're at home versus at a restaurant may change your decision significantly about whether to eat something that has touched the floor. At home, your own standards for cleanliness might be more lenient compared to the public space of a restaurant, where you might be more cautious. This variability speaks to our personal comfort levels and beliefs about cleanliness. Another layer to this discussion involves cultural perspectives. Different societies have various beliefs around food safety and hygiene. In some cultures, food waste is considered a significant issue, leading to practices that, at times, prioritize avoiding waste over safety. This adds another dimension to our understanding of the 5-second rule, as it demonstrates how cultural norms can shape our decisions. What about common practices that extend beyond the 5-second rule? Many people have their own techniques for cleaning up dropped food. Some might brush it off quickly before taking a bite, believing they've mitigated any potential contamination. This often leads to more questions about how effective these cleaning methods are. Simply brushing off visible dirt does not eliminate potentially harmful bacteria that are too small to see with the naked eye. As you think about this concept, consider the alternatives. Instead of relying on the 5-second rule, we might be wiser to practice mindfulness around food. Being more aware of how we handle and prepare food can contribute much more significantly to avoiding foodborne risks. It could be an opportunity to learn about preparing your meals safely, storing food properly, and fostering a cleaner environment in your kitchen. In summary, while the 5-second rule may offer a lighthearted excuse to salvage dropped food, it is essential to remember that the reality of food safety is more complex. Scientific studies have demonstrated that food contamination happens far more rapidly than we might realize. Pay attention to the cleanliness of your eating environment, prioritize safe food handling practices, and when in doubt, it may be best to let that fallen food go. Embracing a more informed attitude towards food safety can prevent unnecessary health issues and enhance the overall enjoyment of our meals. Consider the wisdom of food safety, celebrating the joy of cooking and eating without compromising your well-being. The idea that goldfish have a memory span of only 3 seconds is a popular myth that many people believe. It's a claim that's been around for decades and often used to highlight the simplicity of animal cognition. However, scientific research has challenged this notion, revealing surprising truths about the memory capabilities of these fascinating creatures. Goldfish, like many other animals, possess a more complex brain than we often give them credit for. Studies have shown that these fish can actually remember information for several months. For instance, experiments involving training goldfish to navigate mazes or respond to certain signals demonstrate their ability to learn and recall various tasks over extended periods. Imagine a little goldfish navigating through a maze it has learned to conquer, showcasing its ability to remember the path it took weeks before. One remarkable aspect of goldfish memory is their ability to associate certain cues with rewards. In a controlled environment, researchers have been able to train goldfish to recognize when they are being fed. If a researcher uses a specific sound or signals regularly at feeding time, the goldfish learns to anticipate food, displaying behaviors that indicate they recall the association. This means that they are able to remember specific stimuli linked to positive outcomes, enhancing their understanding of their environment. Another interesting study involved goldfish being trained to push a lever to receive food. The fish could remember this action and would perform it, even if it had not been in that situation for a significant time. This clearly contradicts the 3-second memory myth and highlights the adaptability of goldfish. They are not just simple creatures, swimming in circles. They possess a level of intelligence that allows them to engage with their surroundings more meaningfully. Researchers have also looked into social behaviors among goldfish. These fish can recognize and remember other individual goldfish. In social settings, they have shown preferences for certain tank mates, indicating they can recall past interactions. This social memory plays a crucial role in their survival, as it influences their interactions with others in the tank and helps create dynamic social structure. Contrary to the belief that goldfish need constant stimulation, they are quite capable of learning through experience. If a certain behavior leads to a desirable outcome, they are likely to repeat that behavior. This reinforces the idea that their memory is not just short-term, but can last much longer, allowing them to adapt and thrive in their environments. Some researchers even explore the potential for goldfish to endure complex tasks and challenges. For example, goldfish have been taken through obstacle courses that involve various actions and cognitive challenges. When faced with these tasks, goldfish can learn and remember the solutions, demonstrating their cognitive abilities extend well beyond simplistic tasks. What is equally fascinating is how goldfish exhibit behaviors that suggest they can understand their surroundings. They react to changes in their environment, such as the introduction of new objects or changes in light, suggesting they can remember and navigate through their tank with a more complex level of awareness. This Awareness indicates that their memory allows them to adapt and respond intelligently to stimuli. Additionally, goldfish can be trained using positive reinforcement, which reflects their capacity for memory and learning. When they successfully perform a trick or navigate an obstacle, they can be rewarded with food. This learning process reinforces their memory, allowing them to apply knowledge in various situations. It is also important to consider the role of environment in enhancing or inhibiting memory. When goldfish have enriching environments filled with caves, plants, and varying substrates, they tend to display more complex behaviors and learning capabilities. A stimulating habitat encourages exploration and cognitive engagement, which can further enhance their memory retention. In summary, the myth that goldfish only possess a memory span of 3 seconds is simply untrue. Instead, these remarkable aquatic creatures can remember significant information for months, showcasing their capability of learning through experience, social interactions, and problem solving. Their memory allows them to adapt, predict, and learn, enabling a richer life than many people realize. Goldfish are much more than mere decorations in a bowl. They are intelligent beings with a fascinating capacity for memory that deserves recognition and respect. Next time you pass by a goldfish tank, take a moment to appreciate the depth of knowledge and experience residing within. It is a widespread notion that humans only use 10% of their brains. This catchy claim has sparked interest and curiosity for decades, giving rise to a multitude of theories and myths. But is there any truth to this statement? To understand this concept more deeply, let us explore how the human brain works and what scientific research tells us about its usage. To begin with, the brain is an incredibly complex organ made up of approximately 86 billion neurons. These neurons form intricate networks that communicate with each other, processing information rapidly. Each region of the brain is responsible for various functions, from basic life support tasks to complex reasoning and emotions. This complexity leads to a rich tapestry of activity, even when we may not be actively engaged in thinking or learning. In terms of brain activity, advanced imaging techniques, such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, have transformed our understanding. These technologies allow scientists to visualize brain activity in real time, revealing that even during moments of rest or relaxation, substantial portions of the brain remain engaged. This contradicts the idea that only a minimal percentage is utilized at any given time. Moreover, neuroscience has shown that different tasks activate different areas of the brain. For example, when you listen to music, areas responsible for auditory processing come to life. If you are solving a math problem, regions related to logic and reasoning light up. This indicates that we continually utilize a vast array of brain regions throughout our daily activities, contrary to the notion of a mere 10% utilization. Additionally, the idea that only 10% of the brain is used often stems from misunderstanding the functions of various brain regions. Some areas are responsible for supporting fundamental automatic functions, such as breathing and heart rate regulation. Although these portions may not seem involved in conscious thought, they are vital for our survival, highlighting the intricate roles that every part of the brain plays. Research involving brain injuries also sheds light on the myth. When specific areas of the brain are damaged, individuals often experience significant changes in behavior, personality, or cognitive abilities. If we truly only used a small fraction of our brain, damage to certain sections should not produce such profound effects. However, cases of stroke or trauma illustrate that many regions contribute to the overall function, leading to diverse responses based on where the injury occurs. The concept of brain plasticity further challenges the 10% myth. Brain plasticity refers to the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections in response to learning and experience. This quality enables individuals to recover from injury and adapt to new environments. Activities like learning a new language or mastering an instrument can lead to measurable changes in brain structure and function, showcasing that we harness the full potential of our brains throughout life. Interestingly, the 10% myth has also found a spot in popular culture, appearing in movies, books, and various forms of media. Often, these portrayals present an oversimplified version of cognitive potential, suggesting that if we could unlock the full capacity of our brains, we would achieve extraordinary abilities. While it is fascinating to contemplate the possibilities of human cognition, the reality is that we are already using most of our brain capacity in diverse and meaningful ways. Furthermore, the brain does not operate in isolation. It works in harmony with our bodies, influenced by our emotions, physical health, and environment. Factors such as nutrition, sleep, and exercise have profound effects on brain function and can enhance cognitive performance and overall well-being. Therefore, rather than focusing on how much of our brain we use, it is more beneficial to concentrate on how we can optimize our neurological health. The allure of the 10% myth might stem from the desire to tap into hidden potential and the intriguing idea that we might be capable of extraordinary feats. However, embracing the reality of our brain's incredible capabilities may inspire us to push boundaries in learning and performance without getting lost in misconceptions. In conclusion, the notion that we only use 10% of our brains is a myth rooted in misunderstanding. In reality, brain imaging studies reveal that we actively engage nearly all areas of our brains throughout various activities. Each part has unique roles, contributing to our experiences and interactions. By appreciating the complexity and potential of our brains, we can foster a deeper understanding of ourselves, both cognitively and emotionally. So, as you sit back and reflect, remember that every thought, action, and moment of awareness engages the remarkable capacity of this incredible organ, paving the way for continuous exploration and growth. The Great Wall of China, one of the most iconic structures in the world, is often thought to be so monumental that it can be seen from space. This claim has been a popular belief for decades, but the reality is a bit more nuanced. While the Great Wall stretches over 13,000 miles across the northern borders of China, it's not quite visible to astronauts in space without the aid of binoculars or other optical devices. First, let's explore what contributes to the visibility of objects from space. From low Earth orbit, which is typically around 200 miles above the Earth's surface, astronauts can see vast stretches of land, cities, and other notable geographical features. However, many of these have distinct colors or patterns that make them stand out. The Great Wall, despite its impressive length and historical significance, is constructed primarily from materials such as earth, wood, bricks, and stones, which often blend into the natural landscape of the surrounding terrain. This lack of stark contrast against the greenery, or brownish tones of the earth, makes it much more challenging to distinguish. For example, consider how roads and highways appear from above. They often stand out because of their straight lines and paved surfaces, contrasting sharply with the landscape. The Great Wall, on the other hand, weaves its way through hills and valleys, making it less conspicuous. Its narrow width, in comparison to the expanse of the terrain, further complicates its visibility. There is also the factor of scale. While the Great Wall is indeed long, its width varies throughout its length, with some sections measuring less than 30 feet across. Given that astronauts are observing from vast distances, even significant landmarks may seem diminutive. While the Great Wall may not be easily visible to the naked eye, that doesn't undermine its grandeur or incredible history. Built over centuries, starting in the 7th century BC, this incredible structure was originally designed for defense, to protect against invasions from northern nomadic tribes. As dynasties rose and fell, the wall was expanded and rebuilt, incorporating a variety of architectural styles and techniques. A unique aspect of the Great Wall is the way it intertwined with the culture and daily life of the surrounding communities. In many areas, watchtowers and fortresses along the wall not only served military purposes, but also functioned as essential communication posts. Soldiers stationed there would send signals using smoke, fire, or even flags, conveying messages across vast distances in a time when immediate communication was impossible. Now, let's think about how we perceive this monumental structure today. With the advent of modern technology, we can explore the Great Wall through photography and video, experiencing its breathtaking views without needing to travel to China. Aerial images captured by drones provide stunning perspectives that highlight the wall's majestic presence snaking through the mountains and valleys. It is impressive to observe how it harmonizes with the landscape, acting almost like a ribbon connecting different regions of China. Furthermore, the advent of satellite technology has enhanced our understanding of large geographical features worldwide, including the Great Wall. Satellite imagery can provide a more accurate picture of the wall's layout and historic locations, giving researchers vital information about its construction phases and longevity. These images allow scientists and historians to study the wall in ways that were previously unimaginable, even though the wall itself is not perceivable to the naked eye from space. Interestingly, the discussions around the visibility of the Great Wall from space have prompted a broader look at how we define and perceive landmarks and geographical features. What makes something visible? Is it merely about sight, or does it also encompass our understanding of a place's historical and cultural significance? In the end, the Great Wall of China stands as a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Whether or not it can be seen from space, it remains an indelible part of our planet's history and a source of national pride for many. Millions of visitors travel to walk its paths, explore its towers, and marvel at its beauty, bringing their stories and experiences to life beyond any narrative related to visibility. Next time you hear the claim about the Great Wall being visible from space, remember it isn't just a matter of perspective. It's a reminder of how we interact with our world, shaping our thoughts, beliefs, and our stories. The Great Wall continues to connect people from all walks of life, drawing them to its historical marvels and the tales it holds through time. It represents not just a physical structure, but a bridge between past and present, culture and nature, humanity and its history. The image of Vikings wearing horned helmets is so deeply ingrained in our cultural consciousness that it feels like a part of history itself. When we think of fierce Norse warriors riding distant shores, we often picture them adorned with these iconic helmets, fiercely brandishing their weapons. But interestingly, this portrayal is more a product of imagination and artistic interpretation than a reflection of reality. The truth is that there is no historical evidence to support the notion that Vikings actually wore horned helmets during their raids and battles. This popular image began to take shape in the 19th century, particularly influenced by the costume designers of the time, who sought to create a more dramatic and visually striking representation of the Viking people. These designers, eager for theatrical flair, decided that a horned helmet would add an air of mystique and ferocity to the characters they were depicting on stage and in art. The concept of horned helmets can actually trace its origins back to earlier cultures. Various ancient societies did use horned headgear, often as ceremonial or decorative pieces. For example, you might find similar styles in the ancient cultures of Scandinavia, or even in regions far away from the Viking stronghold. However, these were more symbolic than functional, and they were rarely, if ever, used in battle. Viking helmets from the historical record tell a different story. Archaeological findings reveal that Viking warriors typically wore simple conical helmets made from iron, which provided more practical protection. These helmets were designed for efficiency and functionality. The absence of horns allowed for better visibility and mobility, and diminished the risk of being snagged on branches or other elements of the battlefield. Viking warfare was no small matter. These skilled seafarers and fighters relied on strategy, training, and camaraderie to overpower their opponents. Their headgear had to match their rugged lifestyle, often being used in the context of sea voyages and skirmishes. The more practical designs allowed them to don and doff their helmets quickly and efficiently, vital when surprise was a trademark of their raiding tactics. The misconception about horned helmets has also led to engaging conversations within the historical and artistic communities. Artists, historians, and reenactors often debate the reasons behind the persistence of this myth. One theory suggests that the horned helmet might stem from a romanticized vision of the Viking Age, inspired by literature and mythology, that sought to dramatize the lives and battles of these formidable warriors. Tales of gods and myths, emerging from Norse sagas, speak of divine beings and their grand adventures. These stories often intertwined ideas of strength and glory with dramatic imagery. Naturally, the imagery of a Viking sporting a horned helmet is compelling and eye-catching. It evokes a sense of raw power and savagery, which aligns perfectly with our vision of these conquerors of the seas. This has been amplified by modern media, from films to television shows, where the visual impact of horned helmets immediately raises the stakes of a scene, making it memorable and engaging for viewers. Moreover, the continued use of horned helmets in popular culture shows how they have taken on a life of their own. We see them in countless video games, movies, and Halloween costumes, often leading to even more entrenched misconceptions about the Vikings. The playful and dramatized representations feed into a broader narrative, drawing audiences and creating a fascinating blend of history, mythology, and entertainment. As we explore the Viking Age, it's essential to differentiate between historical fact and artistic embellishment. Understanding that the horned helmets are a modern invention helps us appreciate the creativity of the artists and writers who crafted these fantastical images, while simultaneously acknowledging the reality of Viking warfare and daily life. The Vikings themselves were a sophisticated culture with a rich mythology and a vibrant way of life, full of artistry, craftsmanship, and exploration that went far beyond mere battle. In conclusion, while horned helmets may be a captivating concept that adds a dramatic flair to our idea of Vikings, they do not represent the reality of these historic figures. Instead, they serve as a poignant reminder of how history can be interpreted, reimagined, and, at times, distorted. This creative interplay between history and art fosters a deeper understanding of those who came before us, allowing us to witness not just their battles but their stories, creativity, and expansive reach across the seas. So the next time you envision Vikings, think not of the horned helmets, but of the skilled navigators, far-traveling traders, and storytellers who forged a legacy that endures to this day. Their reality was rich and complex, deserving of study and admiration, providing endless material for exploration and wonder. Napoleon Bonaparte is one of history's most famous figures, renowned for his military genius and his pivotal role in shaping Europe during the early 19th century. Despite this well-deserved recognition, there is a persistent myth that he was markedly short, a misconception that has endured for generations. Today, we will explore the origins of this myth, the reality of his height, and how perceptions of stature can differ across cultures and time periods. To begin with, it's essential to understand the context in which Napoleon lived. He was born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, and by the time he rose to prominence, he was leading French forces across Europe. The average height of a Frenchman in the late 18th and early 19th centuries was approximately 5 feet 5 inches. Historical records indicate that Napoleon was about 5 feet 6 inches tall, which places him just slightly above this average. In fact, some accounts have even suggested he might have been 5 feet 7, making him moderately tall by the standards of his era. So how did the notion of Napoleon being short become so widespread? A significant factor is the language barrier and cultural differences that emerged during his time. When translating heights from French to English, a misunderstanding could easily occur. In France, heights were often measured using the French measurement system, which relies on different units than the British one. This difference might have contributed to the perception that he was shorter than he was. Moreover, a key player in perpetuating Napoleon's short stature was his British adversaries. During the Napoleonic Wars, British propaganda sought to diminish Napoleon's image and undermine his authority. Caricatures and illustrations during that time often depicted him as a diminutive figure, emphasizing his height to ridicule and belittle him in the eyes of the public. Such portrayals became ingrained in popular culture and helped foster the misconception that he was short. Further complicating matters is the presence of his bodyguards, who were notably tall. Napoleon's close protection unit consisted of men who towered above him, which likely contributed to the illusion that he was much shorter than he actually was. This visual contrast can leave a lasting impression. Our brains often make quick judgments based on first impressions, and Napoleon's stature might have been warped in the imaginations of those who viewed him alongside his towering guard. Another element contributing to the myth is the modern perspective. Over time, societal standards have shifted, which can influence our understanding of what is considered tall or short. As average heights have increased globally, historical figures like Napoleon may appear to fit into stereotypes based on their heights compared to contemporary averages. It is also worth noting that being of average height did not hold Napoleon back in any manner. On the battlefield, he was a commanding leader, known for his strategic brilliance and charismatic personality. His ability to inspire his troops and orchestrate complex military maneuvers played a significant role in his achievements. Thus, one must consider the larger context of his achievements rather than focus solely on physical attributes. In addition, the fascination with Napoleon's life extends beyond his military conquests. He was a key figure in the establishment of the Napoleonic Code, which has had a lasting influence on legal systems around the world. His reforms in education and government come to mind, too. These are achievements that resonate well beyond simple physical comparisons and concern genuine contributions to society. Cultural narratives often allow for the creation of legends, and in Napoleon's case, this myth about his height serves as an intriguing anecdote that reveals more about public perception and its impact on historical figures than about the individuals themselves. It speaks to our tendency to assign attributes to leaders based on their visual impressions or the narratives crafted about them. When we study history, it is imperative to look beyond the surface and examine the complexities involved in understanding individuals. Napoleon's life teaches us that the legacy of a person isn't limited to their physical characteristics. Leadership, vision, intellect, and the impact one has on the world overshadow trivial aspects, such as height. Ultimately, the story of Napoleon and the myth of his stature serves as a reminder of the importance of context. As we continue to explore historical figures, whether they are leaders, artists, or innovators, we must remain vigilant about where perceptions come from and how they are perpetuated. The truth about Napoleon's height may be an interesting tidbit, but it pales in comparison to the monumental contributions he made and how he continues to be a subject of intrigue in discussions about leadership, strategy, and human ambition. So the next time you hear someone refer to Napoleon as short, remember this exploration of myths, context, and the measures of greatness. His story is a rich tapestry woven from many threads, transcending the simple and often misleading comparisons we sometimes make when recounting history. The charisma and accomplishments of Napoleon Bonaparte certainly overshadow the narratives about his height and serve as a powerful reminder that perspective shapes our understanding of those who have walked before us. Bats have long been shrouded in intriguing myths and misconceptions, one of the most popular being that they are blind. This idea has persisted through the years, but in reality, it is far from the truth. Bats are not blind at all. In fact, many species possess remarkable vision. While they are best known for their ability to navigate in complete darkness using echolocation, their eyes are well adapted for seeing in low-light environments, giving them a significant edge in their nocturnal activities. Echolocation is a fascinating process. Bats emit high-frequency sounds that bounce off objects in their surroundings, allowing them to create a mental map of their environment. This skill is essential for hunting insects, avoiding obstacles, and navigating through dimly lit caves. Some species rely primarily on this unique method of navigation, but this does not mean they lack the ability to see. In fact, certain bats have eyes that can see quite well, particularly when it comes to distinguishing between colors in dim light. Research has shown that some bats, especially fruit bats or flying foxes, have excellent eyesight. These bats have larger eyes that are adapted for seeing in darker settings. They can detect movements and shapes, allowing them to spot ripe fruits and navigate through trees as they forage. For certain species, vision is just as crucial as echolocation, especially when it comes to finding food during twilight hours when natural light is still available. Moreover, bats are part of a diverse group that has adapted to various environments around the world. With over 1,300 species, bats exhibit a wide range of traits and abilities, adapted to their specific ecological niches. For instance, the vampire bat, known for feeding on blood, relies heavily on their keen sense of hearing and smell, but they also possess the ability to see. Understanding these adaptations is essential to appreciate the diverse strategies bats use for survival. Interestingly, bats are not only dependent on echolocation and vision, they also use their other senses to navigate their surroundings. Their sense of touch is highly developed, with sensitive hairs along their wings and bodies, helping them detect air movements. This multitasking ability allows them to thrive in complex environments, whether flying through tight spaces in a cave or hovering near flowering plants to sip nectar. Bats are also crucial for ecosystems. They play significant roles in pollination, seed dispersal, and insect control. In fact, certain species are essential for the reproduction of many plants, including bananas and avocados, helping to maintain healthy ecosystems. Without bats, there would be fewer varieties of fruits and vegetables available to us, which is another fascinating aspect of their ecological importance. The notion that bats are blind likely stems from a combination of their nocturnal habits and the fact that many people rarely see them in the light of day. When bats take to the skies at dusk, the sight of these creatures swooping and diving can evoke fear and misunderstanding. Yet, their presence in the night sky is a crucial part of nature, supporting countless other species and contributing to biodiversity. Additionally, the unique adaptations of bats extend beyond just vision and echolocation. Many bats exhibit social behaviors that are equally as intriguing. For example, some species are known to roost in large groups, creating complex social structures. Throughout these gatherings, bats communicate with each other through a series of calls and vocalizations, showcasing their social dynamics. Moreover, studies have shown that bats also exhibit a form of teamwork when hunting. For instance, some bats will work together to drive a swarm of insects into a tight ball, making it easier for them to catch their meal. This collaboration not only highlights their intelligence, but also adds a layer of complexity to their behavior that many may not associate with these creatures. As we consider the many myths surrounding bats, it is clear that these creatures possess more than meets the eye. The blend of their echolocation abilities, keen eyesight, social behaviors, and ecological importance paints a broader picture of what bats truly represent in our ecosystems. Rather than being misunderstood as blind creatures, bats are multifaceted beings that contribute to the balance of nature. Understanding bats beyond the myth of their blindness opens up a world of appreciation for these incredible creatures. Their adaptability and significance in nature deserve recognition, allowing us to marvel at their presence rather than fear it. So the next time you see a bat flitting through the twilight sky, remember there is much more to them than just their reputation. These fascinating animals are equipped with a unique suite of senses that enable them to thrive in an ever-changing world, all while silently contributing to the ecology around us. Discovering the truth about bats enriches our knowledge of the natural world and the complex webs of life that exist within it, inspiring us to protect and conserve these remarkable creatures for generations to come. Chameleons are among the most fascinating creatures in the animal kingdom, known primarily for their extraordinary ability to change color. When people think of these unique lizards, they often imagine them seamlessly blending into lush green leaves or dusty brown branches, almost like a magician's trick of disappearance. However, the reality of why chameleons change color is both simpler and more complex than merely camouflage. First and foremost, chameleons employ their color-changing abilities as a form of communication. Just like humans use facial expressions or gestures to convey feelings and intentions, chameleons utilize their vibrant hues to express emotions and social status. For instance, a male chameleon may display bright, bold colors to assert dominance over his territory or attract a potential mate. This vibrant display sends a clear signal to others of its kind, allowing for effective communication without the need for sound. In contrast, if a chameleon feels threatened or is in a defensive mode, its colors may shift to darker, more subdued tones. This subtle yet effective change acts as a warning to potential aggressors about its readiness to fight or as a method of retreating without drawing attention. The dynamic spectrum of colors displayed by a chameleon serves as a living canvas, reflecting the subtle nuances of social interactions in the chameleon world. Temperature regulation is another crucial factor influencing a chameleon's ability to change color. Unlike humans who maintain a constant body temperature, Chameleons are ectothermic, meaning their body temperature varies with their environment. To warm up, a chameleon might brighten, transitioning to lighter colors that reflect sunlight and absorb less heat. Conversely, when it's time to cool down, the lizard may adopt darker hues, which absorb more heat from the sun. This adaptation is not only vital for survival, but also showcases the intricate relationship these creatures have with their environment. By manipulating their color to navigate temperature changes, chameleons demonstrate an impressive level of complexity that goes beyond simple aesthetic changes. Chameleons also utilize their ability to change color in response to their surroundings, but not primarily for the purpose of blending in. Their skin contains special cells called chromatophores, which are filled with different pigments. Underneath these chromatophores are layers of other cells that can reflect light, creating an astonishing array of colors. When a chameleon wants to change its color, it expands or contracts these cells, allowing for short bursts of color adjustment that can happen remarkably fast. It is fascinating to note that each species of chameleon has its own unique color palette and patterns, making them diverse in appearance depending on their natural habitat. A veiled chameleon may flaunt greens and yellows, while a panther chameleon can display a palette of vibrant blues, reds, and oranges. Each color can hold specific meanings tied to local behaviors and environments. Moreover, chameleons can also interpret their immediate surroundings, leading to a color change that reflects their emotional state in relation to the environment they find themselves in. If a chameleon is basking on a sunlit rock and perceives its fellow chameleons close by, it may showcase bright colors to demonstrate confidence. If a new competitor approaches, or perhaps a predator is lurking nearby, the chameleon might swiftly adjust to more muted tones. The process of color change is not just about shifting colors, but is also linked with the fascinating biology of how these animals perceive the world around them. Chameleons possess excellent vision and are equipped with a unique set of eyes that can pivot and focus independently of one another. This means that a chameleon can look out for predators while simultaneously observing potential mates or prey. Their color changes provide essential feedback during these visual assessments, further enhancing their survival strategies. Further adding to their charm, chameleons exhibit different behaviors based on the colors they display. A friendly chameleon may be seen lounging with a mate while displaying warm, inviting colors, while a solitary one might take on shades of blue or green, indicating a desire for solitude or even a bit of shyness. It is also essential to consider the habitat in which chameleons are primarily found. Native to tropical and subtropical regions of Africa, Madagascar, and parts of Asia, these vibrant creatures have adapted remarkably to the diverse environments they inhabit. From dense forests filled with vibrant flora to arid deserts, where every shade of brown counts, each chameleon's unique coloration offers a glimpse into how it has evolved over generations to thrive in its specific ecological niche. In summary, chameleons are more than just creatures that can shift colors. They are living examples of biodiversity and adaptation. Their ability to change color serves multiple functions beyond blending in, embodying complex communication, social interaction, and temperature regulation. Observing these incredible lizards provides a unique perspective on the intricate relationships between animal behavior and their environments, reminding us just how fascinating our planet's wildlife can be. The next time you think of chameleons, remember that their vivid colors tell a profound story of life in the wild, one that is constantly evolving with every flick of their vibrant scales. The phrase you may have heard, that people swallow spiders while sleeping, is a fascinating topic that often elicits a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. Picture this. You drift off into a world of dreams, surrounded by the comfort of your blankets, while a tiny spider scuttles nearby. This imagery can be unsettling, but let's delve into the reality behind this widely circulated myth. First, it's important to understand the origin of this myth. The claim suggests that during sleep, individuals unknowingly ingest spiders because they crawl into open mouths. However, studies have shown that there is no scientific evidence to support the idea that this happens frequently in humans. In fact, it is more likely that spiders are just as cautious of humans as we are of them. Spiders, by nature, tend to avoid large creatures such as humans. They are not naturally drawn to mouths, and the vibrations and noises involved in human breathing or sleeping would likely deter them. Imagine a small creature like a spider, accustomed to finding hiding places in dark corners, navigating past a sleeping person. It is far more probable that they would choose to go elsewhere, preferring the safety of a web or a nook away from potential threats. Additionally, let's explore the dynamics of sleep. When we enter a state of deep rest, our bodies undergo several changes. In this state, the muscles relax and our breathing becomes deeper and slower. This condition, while creating a tranquil atmosphere for us, would not be inviting for a spider seeking to navigate an unknown environment. The instinct to avoid harm is an innate characteristic for most creatures, including spiders. Further, consider the environments where humans tend to sleep. Many people make an effort to keep their living spaces clean and tidy, reducing potential insect encounters. Most spiders prefer areas where they can find food sources, such as other insects, and where they can spin their webs undisturbed. This combination of factors makes the likelihood of a spider inadvertently crawling into a person's mouth while they sleep exceedingly rare. Now, let's think about the psychology behind the myth. It is an illustration of how fear can distort our perceptions. The idea of swallowing spiders harbors a certain shock value, which adds to its appeal as a story. The mind often conjures images of creepy crawlies, and that can trigger a visceral reaction. Fear of spiders, known as arachnophobia, is quite common. This fear can make the tale of swallowing spiders not only memorable, but also a great topic for conversation or storytelling. In essence, it seems that the thought of swallowing spiders has more to do with our perceptions and fears than with reality. The mind is a powerful tool, and it can conjure unbelievable scenarios that can grip our attention. But rational thought and scientific inquiry reveal that this myth doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Let's also consider the fascinating adaptability of spiders themselves. These creatures have been around for millions of years, evolving to survive in various environments and conditions. Their survival tactics include hiding from predators, spinning intricate webs to catch prey, and even mimicking other species for protection. Spiders are masters of their domain, and their natural instincts guide them away from potential dangers, including humans. If you're interested in spiders, there's so much more to discover about their roles in the ecosystem. They are essential for controlling insect populations, helping to maintain balance in nature. Imagine a garden bustling with life. Spiders help keep pesky insects in check, allowing plants to thrive. They are not just creepy creatures lurking in shadowy corners. They play a vital role in our environment. Ultimately, while the tale of swallowing spiders may evoke a dramatic image, it serves as a reminder of how myths can take root in our collective consciousness. It taps into our fears and curiosities surrounding the unknown, making it a compelling topic for discussion. However, reality paints a different picture. One where spiders are more likely to scurry away from us rather than crawl into our mouths. So the next time you hear tales of unsuspecting victims swallowing spiders during the night, you can rest assured that this is a myth steeped in imagination rather than fact. Embracing knowledge and understanding can help dispel fears and offer a clearer view of the world around us, one where spiders are simply fellow inhabitants of the earth, coexisting in their own intriguing ways. There's a persistent myth that touching toads can lead to the development of warts. This idea has circulated for generations, often passed down from parent to child, and has become a part of folklore in many cultures. But what if I told you that this belief is entirely unfounded? The truth is, warts are caused by a group of viruses known as human papillomaviruses, or HPVs, and not by contact with our amphibious friends. To understand why this myth originated, it's important to appreciate the physical characteristics of toads. They have rough, bumpy skin that might seem uninviting to some. In fact, their texture might evoke a sense of discomfort or unease. Our brains often look for explanations for things we find undesirable, and without scientific knowledge, it was easy for people to concoct a story linking the touch of toads to the development of warts. The association of something unpleasant like warts with the irregular skin of a toad created a narrative that has stuck around. Warts themselves usually appear as small, rough bumps on the skin and can occur anywhere on the body. They are particularly common on fingers, hands, and feet. The process through which warts form is intriguing. When a person's skin comes in contact with HPV, the virus can enter through tiny cuts or abrasions. From there, it can stimulate the skin cells to grow more rapidly than usual, resulting in the formation of the wart. Contrary to the belief that toads are responsible for warts, they are actually quite harmless. These creatures play essential roles in their ecosystems, often helping to control insect populations. For instance, toads feed on insects such as mosquitoes and beetles, which can be beneficial for maintaining a balanced environment. In many cultures, they are regarded as symbols of prosperity and fertility. However, the misconstruction of the relationship between toads and warts has led many to fear these amphibians unnecessarily. This fear can contribute to misunderstandings about wildlife and hinder conservation efforts. By promoting the narrative that toads are dangerous, we miss the opportunity to appreciate their ecological contributions and their unique biology. Interestingly, toads do possess toxins in their skin, which serve as a defense mechanism against predators. While these toxins are not harmful to humans in the small amounts typically encountered, it highlights the need for caution around wildlife. Yet it is essential to understand that these toxins are entirely separate from the myth about warts. Contact with a toad's skin does not lead to a viral infection that causes warts. Rather, it can result in an unpleasant experience at worst. Bridging the gap between myth and reality, education plays a critical role. By understanding the actual causes of warts and the harmlessness of toads, we can dismantle this age-old myth. Educational initiatives focusing on wildlife conservation and public health can help clarify misconceptions and foster a greater appreciation for all creatures, including toads. It is also fascinating to note that warts can vary in appearance. Some may be small and nearly flat, while others can be large and protruding. They can also differ in color, ranging from skin-toned to dark brown or gray. Despite their appearance, most warts are not a cause for concern and often resolve without treatment. However, they can sometimes be bothersome or unsightly, leading individuals to seek remedies. Various treatments are available for warts, including over-the-counter products containing salicylic acid, cryotherapy, and even laser treatments in some cases. It is crucial to consult with healthcare providers if there are concerns about the appearance of warts or if they persist. In conclusion, while the idea that touching toads causes warts is an interesting piece of folklore, it is simply not true. Warts are caused by viruses, not amphibians. Understanding these misconceptions not only helps to clear up confusion, but also promotes a more harmonious relationship between humans and the natural world. We can appreciate the role of toads in our ecosystems without the fear of developing warts from a friendly touch. Just as with many myths, this one serves as a reminder to be curious, to question assumptions, and to seek knowledge over fear. By empowering ourselves with facts, we can protect both our health and the creatures that share our environment. For decades, many parents and caregivers have held the belief that consuming sugar leads to hyperactivity in children. This notion has been so deeply ingrained in our culture that it often influences dietary choices and health discussions surrounding kids. However, extensive research has challenged this perception, suggesting that the connection between sugar intake and hyperactive behavior may not be as straightforward as it seems. Several studies have explored the potential link between sugar and behavior in children. One significant research project, conducted by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, analyzed various studies to determine if sugar had any direct effect on behavior. The findings indicated that sugar consumption did not significantly impact children's hyperactivity levels. In fact, many of the studies concluded that the overall behavior of children consuming sugar was similar to that of those who were on low-sugar diets. One possible explanation for the widespread belief in sugar-induced hyperactivity relates to the context in which sugary foods are often consumed. Think about birthday parties, carnivals, or holidays. These occasions are often filled with excitement and a lot of stimulation, and children typically consume sugar-laden treats during these times. As a result, it can be easy to associate the high energy and joy from the festivities with the sugary snack. However, it may actually be the excitement of the events themselves rather than the sugar triggering heightened activity. Furthermore, many parents have observed that their children appear to become more energetic after indulging in sweet treats. However, research suggests that the excitement coming from social interactions and environmental factors plays a much larger role. Studying children in controlled environments where all variables except sugar intake are managed shows that when children consume the same amount of sugar in a quiet, calm setting, they do not exhibit increased hyperactivity. The placebo effect could also contribute to the perceived impact of sugar on behavior. When parents believe that sugar will make their children more energetic, their expectations can influence how they interpret their child's behavior. In studies where parents were informed that their children received sugary drinks, regardless of whether the drinks actually contained sugar or were placebos, they reported higher instances of hyperactivity. This suggests that perception can shape reality in powerful ways. Also interesting is the role of diet overall. The nutritional quality of a child's diet can have a significant impact on their energy levels and behavior. A well-rounded diet that includes whole foods, healthy fats, proteins, and complex carbohydrates can promote sustained energy levels and better mood regulation. In contrast, intricate factors like lack of overall nutrients might impact a child's mood and behavior more than sugar alone. Moreover, it is essential to consider other factors contributing to a child's energy and behavior. For instance, sleep patterns, stress, and physical activity are all vital components of a child's daily life. A child who has been cooped up inside all day may exhibit high energy levels simply because they need to release pent-up energy. not necessarily because of the sugar in their diet. In light of this evidence, it becomes increasingly clear that while moderation in sugar consumption is always wise from a health perspective, the idea that sugar is a primary cause of hyperactivity may be a misconception. It's worth noting that excessive sugar intake can lead to other health issues, such as obesity and dental problems, which is why balancing sugar in children's diets is important. However, the narrative around sugar causing hyperactivity is under increasingly critical scrutiny. Interestingly, some research points to other dietary components like artificial food colorings and preservatives as more likely culprits when it comes to influencing behavior in children. In certain controlled studies, the removal of these additives from children's diets resulted in improved behavior overall, suggesting that perhaps the focus should shift from simply sugar to the broader context of dietary choices. As society continues to explore the complex relationship between diet and behavior, it is vital to approach this topic with an open mind and discernment. Knowledge on nutrition and its effects evolves, and what was once considered common wisdom may not hold true under scientific investigation. Parents and caregivers would do well to listen to their children's needs, provide balanced diets, and focus on creating environments where children can thrive physically and emotionally. Ultimately, understanding the true influences of dietary habits on behavior calls for a broad view that incorporates various aspects of health, environment, and nutrition. As we deepen our comprehension of this subject, we can move past simplistic associations and focus on what truly benefits children. Exploring these elements paves the way for a healthier, happier future for the next generation, where knowledge guides choices and compassion leads the way in nurturing young minds and bodies. When talking about shaving, a common belief that has persisted for generations is the notion that shaving hair makes it grow back thicker, faster, or darker. This idea seems plausible at first glance, especially when you observe the texture of hair after it has been shaved. However, let's dive deeper into the biology of hair growth and understand why this belief has taken root. To begin with, it is essential to understand the structure of hair. Hair is composed primarily of a protein called keratin, which is also found in our skin and nails. When hair is shaved, what is removed is just the visible part of the hair shaft, known as the hair stem. The part that remains is below the surface, in the follicle, where hair grows from. The follicle is the part of the hair that determines various characteristics, including thickness, color, and growth rate. When you observe hair after shaving, you might notice that it has a blunt tip rather than the natural tapered end of unshaven hair. This bluntness can create the illusion of increased thickness, when, in fact, it is simply a different appearance. For many, especially with coarse hair, this effect can be quite pronounced. As the hair grows back, this initial blunt cut grows out, and soon enough, it returns to its natural taper and previous texture. Another aspect to consider is the rate of hair growth. Shaving does not influence the rate at which hair grows. The speed at which hair grows is genetically determined, meaning some individuals may experience faster or slower growth than others, regardless of whether they shave. The belief that hair grows back faster after shaving is mostly a misconception based on the timing of the observable effects of shaving, rather than a change in growth dynamics. The color of hair, much like its thickness, is determined by genetics and individual characteristics. Shaving does not alter the pigment-producing melanin in your hair follicles. Any perceived change in color following a shaving session can usually be attributed to the contrast between the newly shaved hair and the skin. The lighter upper layers of skin may make darker hair appear even darker, thereby adding to the belief that shaving changes hair color. You may have also encountered different experiences related to body hair versus facial hair. Specifically, facial hair can appear denser and darker compared to body hair because of various factors, including hormonal influences. Some individuals might shave their faces regularly and notice that over time, their facial hair seems to grow back more robustly than before. This observation can be linked to the natural development of facial hair as a person ages rather than the shaving itself. There are also cultural and social dimensions to consider. In various cultures, the ritual of shaving serves multiple purposes, whether for aesthetic reasons, personal hygiene, or even religious practices. In certain communities, shaving is seen as a rite of passage, particularly among young men transitioning into adulthood. This cultural significance can sometimes amplify beliefs about hair growth, reinforcing the myth that shaving will alter its properties. Moreover, from a practical standpoint, people use different shaving techniques and tools, which can influence hair perception post-shaving. Electric shavers provide a different experience and can leave hair looking and feeling different than using a traditional razor. The method chosen can impact the texture of the hair re-emerging, leading to varied experiences that further cloud the understanding of hair growth fundamental. It is also worth noting the advances in hair removal technology over time. Options such as waxing and laser treatments have risen in popularity, yet they come with their own myths and misunderstandings. These methods, while effective for long-term hair removal, also do not fundamentally change hair growth patterns. Understanding these thoughts can help demystify common misconceptions surrounding hair removal and appearance. In conclusion, while the notion that shaving makes hair grow back thicker, faster, or darker is a widely held belief, it is rooted in perception rather than reality. The hair characteristics are determined by genetics, and shaving simply leaves a temporary change in appearance. Observational changes often arise from the nature of hair regrowth, the method of shaving used, and the contrast between newly shaven hair and the skin tone beneath. Ultimately, recognizing the scientific principles surrounding hair can lead to a clearer understanding of our own bodies and the processes they undergo. Cracking knuckles is a common habit that many people engage in, often leading to curious reactions from those around them. But what is the truth behind this noisy phenomenon? One of the most prevalent myths surrounding knuckle cracking is the belief that it causes arthritis. Much to the relief of habitual crackers, multiple studies have shown no link between this practice and the development of arthritis. To understand this better, let's dive into the anatomy of the joints involved. Our fingers have joints connected by ligaments and cushioned by a substance known as synovial fluid. This fluid serves several purposes, including lubrication, nourishment, and protection of the joint surfaces. When you crack your knuckles, you create a rapid change in pressure within the joint. This decrease in pressure causes tiny bubbles in the synovial fluid to form and then collapse, producing that characteristic popping sound. Many people find the sound satisfying, and the act of cracking their knuckles can lead to a feeling of relief or increased mobility. It's a momentary release that can be pleasant for the individual. However, this phenomenon has often been misunderstood, leading to widespread belief in its negative consequences. While there are no proven links between knuckle cracking and arthritis, some anecdotal evidence suggests that excessive cracking might result in temporary discomfort or swelling for certain individuals. However, this is not indicative of any long-term damage or the onset of conditions such as arthritis. Interestingly, research conducted over the years has aimed to debunk this myth. One notable study involved a physician who decided to test the theory on himself. He cracked the knuckles of one hand for several years, while leaving the other hand untouched. After years of this practice, he underwent X-rays and joint examinations, ultimately revealing no significant differences in arthritis development between the two hands. Other studies have reinforced these findings, including surveys that measure the incidence of arthritis in populations that frequently crack their knuckles compared to those who do not. The consistent outcome has shown that there is no correlation between knuckle cracking and the development of arthritis, providing reassurance for those who enjoy this quirky habit. It's essential to consider that arthritis itself is a complex condition influenced by various factors, including genetics, age, and previous injuries. The two most common types of arthritis, osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, have different causes and are not impacted by knuckle cracking. Osteoarthritis is primarily associated with the breakdown of cartilage due to wear and tear, while rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disorder where the body's immune system attacks the joints. In addition to the scientific perspective, cultural views on knuckle cracking vary widely. In some cultures, cracking joints is deemed socially unacceptable or impolite, while in others, it is merely seen as a quirky habit. The sounds associated with cracking knuckles may even provide a moment of connection for those around, prompting comments or laughter. Beyond the simple joy of cracking fingers, there are other forms of joint manipulation that can lead to similar sounds, such as stretching or adjusting different parts of the body. These actions highlight the body's flexibility and capacity to make desirable sounds, demonstrating the mechanical functions of joints. What remains clear is that knuckle cracking is a harmless action in the vast majority of people. It serves as a reminder that our bodies are complex, yet surprisingly resilient. The myths surrounding this behavior have largely been debunked, paving the way for a more relaxed approach to the habit. Cracking knuckles may not be for everyone. Some individuals prefer to keep their fingers still or find the noise distracting. There are countless ways to engage with the body's mobility, from yoga to simple stretching exercises, each offering its own benefits to physical health. So, if you find yourself cracking your knuckles, there's no need to feel guilty or concerned about potential health consequences. Instead, revel in the satisfying sound, embrace the moment of release, and remember that science has given this enjoyable habit a clean bill of health. As with any habit, moderation is key, but the act of cracking knuckles itself does not carry the heavy burden of mythic consequences. In a world filled with misinformation, it's refreshing to uncover the truths that allow us to appreciate the little quirks of our bodies without fear. In the end, our understanding of joints and their movements can be as liberating as it is enlightening. So keep on enjoying those knuckles, because it seems they are just fine, with the occasional pop. Have you ever heard the curious myth that hair and nails continue to grow after death? It's a captivating thought that has intrigued many for generations. The idea paints a vivid picture of what happens to our bodies after we take our final breath. It evokes a sense of wonder and perhaps even a tinge of creepiness. However, the truth behind this notion is rooted in biology and the changes that occur within the body following death. When a living person passes away, several processes begin immediately. One of the most noticeable changes is the loss of moisture from the skin. The body starts to dehydrate, causing the skin to shrink and pull away from the hair follicles and nail beds. This shrinkage can create the illusion that the hair and nails have become longer, making it appear as though they are still growing. In reality, this is not growth at all, but rather a visual trick played by the body's transformations. To understand this better, we need to explore the structure of hair and nails. Both are made primarily of a protein called keratin. Hair grows from hair follicles located in the skin, and nails grow from the nail matrix, situated underneath the skin at the base of the nail. Under normal circumstances, our hair and nails are alive, constantly growing and renewing, thanks to the supply of nutrients and blood flow that comes from a healthy, functioning body. When life ends, the heart stops and circulation ceases. This means that all the nourishing elements that supported hair and nail growth are no longer present. During our lives, we tend to think of hair and nails as living matter, and they are while we are alive. However, once the body dies, their living status is stripped away, and they do not continue to grow or thrive in the way our minds might suggest. The idea that hair and nails keep growing after we die also reflects cultural beliefs and folklore. For centuries, stories and myths surrounding the dead have permeated societies, often portraying a sense of the mysterious and the uncanny. These tales capture the imagination, tapping into our fear of the unknown and the haunting possibilities that arise from contemplating what happens after we die. The mythology surrounding hair and nails serves as a sort of reminder of our mortality, adding a layer of intrigue to the process of dying. Interestingly, despite the common belief of post-mortem growth, there are studies that have shown how hair and nails can appear longer under certain conditions. For example, the discrepancy may also be influenced by factors such as the environment in which the body is laid to rest. In settings where conditions are warm and dry, the dehydration process may be accelerated, causing the shrinkage of the skin to contrast sharply with hair and nails, making them seem even more pronounced. Moreover, the visual changes that occur post-mortem are not limited to hair and nails. The entire body undergoes a range of transformations, from the pallor of the skin to the stiffening of the limb. These changes serve as a reminder that life and death are interconnected cycles in nature. The fading of vitality leads to the softening and eventual decay of our physical forms, a poignant illustration of our temporary existence on this earth. Another aspect to consider is our cultural reactions to these myths. Voices from literature and cinema have often played off the mystique of life after death, using notions of growing hair and nails as a gateway to explore deeper themes of memory and legacy. The haunting image of nails scratching at the inside of a coffin or hair unfurling in the wind offers storytellers a visual metaphor for the enduring impression of those who have come before us. In scientific terms, there is little evidence to support the idea of hair and nails growing post-death. The biomolecular activity that sustains living tissues comes to a full stop when the heart no longer pumps blood and oxygen to cells. Yet, the human fascination with life beyond death persists, encouraging an exploration of what we leave behind. What can this tell us about our relationship with life, existence, and what it means to be human? Perhaps it nudges us to reflect on our own mortality, urging us to consider how we honor memories of those who have passed. The stories we tell and the myths we share may help us connect with the feelings of loss, memory, and the impact of a life lived. So, rather than viewing the story of post-mortem hair and nails as a macabre curiosity, we can consider it a catalyst for conversation about life and death, culture and myth. The interplay between reality and mythology enriches our understanding of humanity's deepest fears and most profound hopes. It invites us to think about how we wish to be remembered and what marks we want to leave behind as we navigate our own stories in this intricate tapestry of existence. As we conclude this exploration, remember, while the notion of hair and nails growing after death is more illusion than reality, it serves as a reminder of the unique ways we interpret the mysteries of life and death. Curiosity drives us to learn more about the world around us, forging connections with the past while propelling us forward into the future. Dogs have long held a special place in human hearts, often regarded as our most loyal companions. There are numerous myths surrounding our four-legged friends, one of which is the belief that dogs see only in black and white. While it is true that their vision is different from ours, the reality is much more fascinating. Dogs can perceive colors, but their color palette is not as rich or vibrant as that of humans. To understand canine vision, we need to delve into the anatomy of a dog's eyes. Like humans, dogs have photoreceptors in their retina, known as cones and rods. Cones are responsible for color vision, while rods allow for better vision in low light conditions. Humans typically have 3 types of cones, which enable us to see a broad spectrum of colors. These cones can detect red, blue, and green wavelengths of light. In contrast, dogs possess only 2 types of cones, which are sensitive to blue and yellow wavelengths. This means that dogs perceive colors primarily in shades of blue, yellow, and gray. Colors such as red and green appear as various shades of gray to them. If you were to look at the world through a dog's eyes, grass might not be the lush green you see, but more of a muted yellowish brown, while a bright red ball would appear as a dull gray. This limited color perception can lead to some interesting behaviors. For instance, if you play fetch with your dog using a bright blue ball, it's likely your dog will find it much more appealing compared to a red or green one. Toys that feature yellow and blue colors tend to be more visible to dogs, allowing them to engage in play more enthusiastically. Yet dogs also excel in other areas of vision that humans cannot match. Dogs have a higher number of rod cells in their eyes, which allows them to see much better in low light conditions. This adaptation is a remnant of their ancestral lineage as hunters, giving them an advantage in dim environments. So, while our canine companions may not enjoy the same spectrum of colors as we do, they can still navigate their world effectively, particularly in the dawn or dusk hours, when many animals are on the move. In addition to the differences in color perception, there's another fascinating aspect of a dog's vision: motion detection. Dogs are exceptionally skilled at noticing movement. Their eyes are particularly attuned to detecting quick motions, which explains why they can spot a squirrel darting across the yard with such precision. Although they may not see all the colors vividly, their ability to detect movement enhances their awareness of their surroundings. This keen sense of movement can make dogs seem incredibly alert, even in situations where we may miss something. It's also worth noting that dogs have a wider field of vision compared to humans. The placement of their eyes allows them to see a more panoramic view of the world, which aids them in spotting potential threats or prey. A typical dog's field of vision is approximately 240 degrees, while humans have a field of about 180 degrees. This expanded perspective can make a dog appear more aware of subtle changes in their environment. Now, let's discuss a common scenario that showcases the unique vision of dogs. Imagine you are outside on a sunny day, surrounded by vibrant colors, lush green trees, colorful flowers, and perhaps a magnificent sunset. To you, this picturesque scene is a feast for the eyes filled with various hues. As you observe, you might see a bright red flower standing out among the greenery. Your dog, on the other hand, sees a blend of colors muted by their perception. They might notice movement or the scent of the flower more than its color, which can lead them to investigate it curiously. Furthermore, if you own a dog that loves to chase after frisbees, you might have noticed that the standard orange or neon green frisbees are favorites among playful pups. These colors, particularly when set against a contrasting background, are easier for dogs to spot compared to colors that blend into their environment. Their playful nature combined with this unique perception makes outdoor adventures enjoyable for both you and your furry friend. The differences in visual perception between humans and dogs highlight the beauty of diversity within the animal kingdom. Each species has adapted its senses to navigate its environment effectively. While we may take our vibrant visual world for granted, dogs have their own set of tools that allow them to experience life in a different yet equally enriching manner. So, the next time you find yourself enjoying a beautiful day outdoors with your dog, take a moment to appreciate not only how they see the world, but also how their different sensory perceptions contribute to their exploration and enjoyment. Recognizing these variations in vision helps deepen our bond with them and enriches our shared experiences, reminding us that there is so much more to discover together in the great outdoors. This well of curiosity and engagement reflects not only in dogs, but also in our own experiences as we venture through life, each of us perceiving the world through our unique lens.